Okay, good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yes, today we have a special lecture from National University of Singapore. He is a head of department of OBGYN, Professor Yong. And today we very with pleasure that Prof Yong will present about the menopause and aging and also osteoporosis. Sometimes maybe somehow we don't have kind of this special case in our department because maybe the population or demographic in Indonesia that this is elderly in our population is not so high in comparison with Singapore, but maybe in 20 years or in 30 years then we have more elderly people. Maybe in 10% of the population are elder people. So in 20 or 20 years in the future, maybe we have also same situation in this Singapore. I think we have to learn how to Professor his department manage the situation and how they treat about this problem. So I think because time is limited, Prof. Yong, with pleasure, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning. Okay. Assalamualaikum. I just learned some words of Bahasa. Yeah. So it's very nice for me to have the chance to talk to all the faculty of GNU, Department of Teaching and Ecology. I'm Professor Yong from Singapore. I know you're all so young and so fresh, so it's good because you belong to Generation X, yeah? Generation X, or Generation Y? Generation X, yeah? I also Generation X, but I'm Generation expired because it's already old, yeah? So I think maybe this is not a big problem with Indonesia, but in Singapore more and more people are getting old. Yeah? So I'm going to talk about the problems of menopause and aging. But I think before, is it okay if you understand what I say? But before I continue, maybe I tell you something about my department in Singapore in my hospital. So I come from the National University Hospital, which is NUS, National University of Singapore. And this is my hospital, and my office is here, and the OBGYN division is here. So this is the research building, and the MRT station is just underneath. So we have 1,000 beds and 500 clinics. So this is my department at the UC Hospital. I'm the head chair. We have about 35 specialists, senior consultant, registrars, all these are specialists. And maternal fetal medicine is 10. Cancer is 4. Endocrinology, infertility, IVF is 4. Liver-invasive surgery and robotics is 3. Young 2. So in our hospital, we have 5,000 deliveries a year. Pelahiran, 5,000. And the operation is 250. Cancer, 300 new cases a year. And surgery with the robotic 100, IVF about 1,000 cases. So this is my hospital for a year. This is our hospital bed. This is the delivery room. So delivery room, we have 12. So the patient come and have the delivery. It's like a hotel. So they stay out, and this they're very nice. The husband can sit with the wife. And this is after delivery, they rest here. And this is the IVF center. And this is a scan center. And this is a 3D scan. I'm sure you have it here. So this is my department. So these are all my faculty, about 35. Okay, now about aging and about the population. So this is Indonesia. This is 2018. This one is 45 years and above. You can see the population of Indonesia in terms of age. In terms of the age here, 100 years. This is 5 years. It's very good. It's a triangle. So a lot of young people like you here, and few older people. But you can see in Indonesia in 2050, in about 30 years' time, you can see that the young people will be less and the old people will be more. So in 2050, these old people above 45% is going to form more and more of the population. So this is Indonesia. But this is my country, Singapore. Look at how it is. Previously, you can see it's a nice triangle. But in Singapore, it is not a triangle. It's like a Prambanan, the temple, Prambanan, right? They're very narrow here, but very big on top, like the temple. But that means the old people are more. And in Singapore 2050, the old people will be more than the young people. Now, this is the situation in all the developed countries, whether in Japan, whether in Korea, whether in Hong Kong, it will be the same. And also in the United States, Italy, and England, so it will be the same. So it's more and more. We have to face how to take care of these people with very, very much less younger people. So this is the problem that we are facing, but maybe we don't face young people in the same generation by generation X. But we have to prepare, because we also got our mak and our grandmothers, they also face this problem, so I think it's good for us to prepare. So, when we ask all the old people what are the problems they face, this is a study in the Lancet, recent 2017. What are the contributors to poor health in women all over the world? This is years of quality life, years of disability, for 100,000. And this is the men and women. And you can see for women, when you are above, let's say when you are about 60, 70 years old, these are all the problems they face. In the red one is maybe nutrition of not enough food. But the biggest area is this blue one, which is actually musculoskeletal disorder. So for all the women in the world, this part, as you become about 45, become more and more, and reach maximum about 60, 70, is actually muscle disorder. Meaning what? People cannot walk. So the problem with our mak and nenek and grandmother is that they cannot walk. So if they cannot walk, they cannot take care of themselves. They cannot take care of anak, they cannot take care of cucu. So, and then the cucu have to take care of them. So it's a big problem. So that's why everybody has to focus on walking muscle and bone. Because if you have muscle, you have bone, you can walk, you can take care of yourself. So, in countries all over the world, this is the most important. Musculoskeletal disorder. This is on the Lancet, recent study of women all over the world. So what is the biggest problem? Is this one. You can notice a hip, and this is a hip fracture. So if you have osteoporosis and then you fall down, you break the bone. And once you break the bone, you cannot walk. And once you cannot walk, you cannot go to the toilet. You cannot eat your food. You cannot cook. So then the tutor has to take care of her. So we must try to prevent this. So what are the ways to prevent this fracture? So one of the things we realize that for women, we have the ovary, right? OBGYN, we learn the ovary, the estrogen. And the estrogen is prevent the osteoporosis. Osteoporosis, dia tulang dia ada lubang. Di tulang ada lubang, then it becomes weak. And when it becomes weak, you see this is the femoral neck, bone mineral density. This is the age. So when you are about 50, you reach the menopause. Menopause, dia punya estrogen go down. And when the estrogen go down, the bone become weak. When the bone become weak, then you have the fracture, the hip fracture. So in the world, there are millions of hip fractures. And once you have the fracture, the risk of death is 20%. So once you have fracture, there's a high risk of death. And with fracture, half of them, 40 to 50% cannot walk. And 60% still require help from the family or from society or hospital after 1 year. And one third have to go to a nursing home or have to completely be dependent on the family. So, and the cost is very high in Singapore. For each operation is more than 10,000 for each hospital operation. So this is the data that I have from Singapore for the whole of the hip fracture, femoral fracture. So what are the numbers? This is the year from the 2000 to 2017, and the year before. And this is the absolute number of fracture. You can see these women, and women have twice the number of fracture as men. So I think OBGYN have an important role. You can see that the fracture is increasing year on year in Singapore. But is it because we never take care of our nenek and chuchu? But the answer is no. Because if you do the rate per 100,000 population, actually the rate is declining. Men is stable, but for women is declining. So the increase is actually due to increase in the population. Because when you do per 100,000, it's less. So there's more people, therefore more fractures going up, but actually per 100,000 is going down. And when you age adjust to the year 2000, it goes down even more. What's the meaning? The meaning is that not only is there increase in population, but the population is getting older. So if you standardize for their age and the 2000, you can see that actually the fracture rate is going down. So we are taking care of our old people, but except that there's more of them and the population is more. So that's why the absolute fracture rate goes up, but the age adjusted fracture rate is coming down. And also very interesting, because in Singapore we have Chinese and Indian, which total more than half of the population of Asia. The worst fracture rate is the Chinese, and then the second one is the Malay, followed by the Indian. The Chinese rate is going down, but the Malay is actually going south. So we have to be careful of that. So the rates are going to converge, but we hope to have Malays and Indian communities fracture rate going down as well as the Chinese. So at what age should we look after them? When do the fracture first start? See, these are the age rate. At 50, 54, there's hardly any fracture because of osteoporosis. And the fracture only start to come up along this dotted line, which is 70. And in 65, slightly going up. So actually, when you are less than 65, there's no need to treat them. So that's why when we want to treat for fracture, we start to treat at this group, which is 65 and below. So this is the group to treat so as to prevent them. So this one is 85 years old, and you can see it's going down, but it's the highest. When you're over 85, the chance of falling and having fractures. So just very quickly, why you want to find out why are the differences in hip fracture rates, and to find out the thing before the fracture. Before you fracture, your bone must be weak. We just said about osteoporosis. And the osteoporosis is identified by investigation, like X-ray. It's a very weak X-ray. And this one is called dual energy X-ray absorptiometry, which is DEXA scan. And from the DEXA scan, you can check the spine and the hip fracture. And if they fall in the red zone, then there's a danger of fracture. So this is the bone mineral density. So if the bone mineral density is in the red zone, then the patient has a high risk of hip fracture. And if you identify it, then we can treat and prevent. So when we do the bone mineral density of the Chinese Malay Indians here, we can see that the Chinese have the lowest bone mineral density. And therefore, Chinese have the highest hip fracture. Whereas the Malays have a better bone mineral density and a lower fracture. Indians is the best. So bone mineral density reflects fracture rate, and if we use bone mineral density, we can prevent this. So how do we prevent this? This is our algorithm. Because we are OBGYN, we see a lot of our women after delivery for contraception, for hormone replacement. And when they reach the 6th age of when they see us, we have to assess their clinical risk factors. When they're less than 65 years old, the risk factors like the weight is low, early menopause, Chinese, or you have diseases like rheumatoid arthritis or smoking, and diseases that cause osteoporosis, and we have to do a DEXA scan. And if they have osteoporosis, then we can give them the medication. But if there are no risk factors, then they are low risk, then we ask them to have lifestyle, exercise, good diet, high calcium. And then when they reach 65, we will do a bone scan, DEXA scan, and osteoporosis will treat. If they have a fracture before, we also treat. So in this way, we can systematically reduce the rate of fracture in our population so that they have a healthy life. I have a discussion with the colleagues in GMU, Agong and colleague, and I heard about the desa binaan. So maybe this is a good project for us to see as the population grows elderly, whether we can have some sort of screening program to prevent osteoporosis and hip fracture also, and to help them mobilize. So this is the part of the collaboration that I hope to start with the faculty colleagues in GM. So that's why I said the absolute number of fractures is increasing. Right? We have to concentrate on those who have higher risk, weight and sleep, under movement, and then we can work together, Singapore and Indonesia, to help take care of our old people. So just to change tack, not only hip fracture, but women reply from the OBGYN for primary care, at least in Singapore. When I see the women, they take care of the contraception, deliver the babies, and even the cough and cold, they ask me to prescribe cough and cold medicine, or they ask me to prescribe hypertension medicine, and sometimes they ask me about the bones, cancer screening. So OBGYN is the primary care physician. So what I wanted to do was to have a holistic way of treating women instead of just taking care of the menopause. Take care of the whole health, integrated health program, like the DESA binaan concept, integrated health, to take care of like depression, cardiovascular health, menopause, of course, muscle strength and osteoporosis to prevent fracture so that they can move. And then relationship issue, because as the women grow older, the children leave home, they may feel depressed, but they don't tell the relative. But they feel sad, they feel depressed, people don't talk to them. And they cannot sleep. So all these things affect health. And if you take care of them in a holistic way, maybe we can improve them. But we just started this program. It's in the 2014. So if we can do the same thing, So what we do, we have a questionnaire and then we do the physical measures. So we ask them about prolapse, emotional health, about exercise, about the sleep, the social time, diet, of course osteoporosis, stress, and then holistic care so that they can have healthy aging. You know, young people like you, I'm so jealous of you because the lifespan is going to be very long. Right? Right. For me, maybe it's 80 years. For you, maybe 100 years. Yeah, it's true. Because 776, yeah. So for your young colleagues, maybe it's 100. Because every 10 years, the lifespan increased by 2 years. For everybody over the world because of improvement in medicine. So you're going to live to 100, but you don't want to live to 100 when you're sick. You want to live to 100, very helpful. You can still walking, you can still contribute. So it's about healthy aging, right? It's about health span rather than lifespan. So when I ask the women, so we do a survey of our women, what are the problems they face? Huh? Ladies, what are the problems you are unhappy about? So this is very interesting because in the US, the menopause women, they all say hot flashes, etc. But I think hot flashes in Singapore, maybe like in Indonesia as well, it's not so important. It's number 5. And number 1 is the joint and muscle aches. Yeah? The pain, sakit, sini, all the point. They say this is the biggest problem. Now this is important because if you have pain, then you don't walk. And if you don't walk, your muscle become weak. And your muscle become weak, then you slip and fall, then you break your bone. So this one you must address. So I thought I had to address this one as number 1 problem. So we did the study. And we find that the chronic joint pain actually related to weak bone. Yeah? Because you have joint pain, then you don't move. Then you become weak. And we published this last year. And when you become weak, your hand grip strength become weak also. So at the end, you get osteoporosis. And you fall. So joint pain is very important. We have to address it in something. And it's related to osteoporosis. So the grip strength we have to measure this hand grip strength and see how strong. And if they are not strong, you have to give them exercise. Yeah? Despite the joint pain, you have to exercise. And then exercise, you have to strengthen the leg muscle. When you sit on a chair and stand up, sit on a chair and stand. Exercise the chair and stand. So we ask them exercise and then come back test again. See how strong the muscle is. So this is the program that we undergo and then ask them to go for balance. Then we ask them, see, you must walk from this line to this line within these 2 red lines. Step like that. Yeah? If you step outside, then it's failed. Yeah. So it's the balance. It's what we call the balance walk test. Surprisingly, a lot of people fail. Yeah? Because you must walk very fast. So this is important. That means you must have muscle because of the balance. Then you won't fall down. And so the other things of important to the elderly. What is the thing that will chronic health disease that will kill people? Right? You see, number one is what? Number 1 is arthritis, joint and bone problem. That's why we're tackling that. Number 2 is the red one, heart disease. So we have to tackle cardiovascular disease and cerebral vascular disease. That means the brain. So heart disease we have to tackle in some way. And then the third one is cancer. So cancer, we have to do screening. That means you screen for breast cancer, we have to screen for cervical cancer, we have to screen for endometrial cancer, we have to screen for ovarian cancer. So once we have taken the top 3, then will be, I think the health span will increase. So this is my last slide. Yeah, this is my last slide. So we have talked about menopause and everything. We have talked about how the muscle become weak because of joint pain, and then they become fragile, and then they fall, become fracture. We talk about the importance of cardiovascular health, stroke, and diabetes, cancer, breast cancer, and cancer. And so mental health, depression, a lot of people become depressed. When they become depressed, they don't exercise, they don't take care of themselves. Now all these things, the treatment is actually quite common. Because to treat all this, we have to make sure that they don't become too fat. That means you must have a good diet, must exercise, and also sleep. Because if you sleep, you don't sleep, you tend to eat more snacking. And when you snack, you become fat. And then, of course, you need medication and the right. So if you do things a holistic way, because you cannot treat one, you cannot treat obesity and you don't treat the diet. You cannot go treat sleep and you don't treat exercise, because all of them come together. So once you have all these together, everything will improve. Yeah? So if you have all these together nicely in holistic treatment, but this is just my vision and dream. I'm just starting the program in Indonesia. And so if we can have some collaboration, it would be very good to see how it works in the city, like Indonesia in the city, like Prof in the desa. Yeah? In the village, what are the problems, and it will be a very interesting thing. Okay, so I finished my lecture, and I'd like to thank Mr. Detti, Akong, and everybody for giving me, and you all for giving me a chance to talk to you. And I hope you have a chance you can visit my hospital in Singapore, and we have a chance for collaboration. Thank you very much. Very much.
Sorry, Yong, this is our team. This is Prof E.L Yong. Yeah. Okay, this is session for your questions. Any question? I think this is very important message from Prof Yong about management of osteoporosis, and also, but I think maybe you need something kind of clinical tip or kind of how to treat the osteoporosis maybe. So, any question for Prof Yong from Koas, President? Okay, itu next.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning for everybody. I just want to ask about two questions. My first question is how far we, as the OBGYN, can handle the musculoskeletal problem. How far? Thus, in Indonesia, we send our patient. We send our patient based on their problem. If their problem is musculoskeletal, we usually send them to the orthopedic doctors. How far our our effort to treat the patient in the musculoskeletal problem. And then the second one about cancer. Most of our patient in OBGYN in elderly people is cancer patient. How in Singapore to screen the cancer patient in older people? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. These are very important questions. When we talk about orthopedic, I don't know about Indonesia, but in Singapore, the orthopedic surgeon are only interested in surgery. If you patah your tulang, they are interested. They want to do the nailing, they want to go to OT and they do. But before that, they're not so much interested. Because this is before the patah tulang. So they say it's not my problem. This is no bone broken, it's not orthopedic problem. So who is taking care of the before the fracture? Because it's about 10 years before the fracture, you have to treat osteoporosis. So right now, osteoporosis, nobody is treating. OBGYN, they did a survey on who is prescribing the anti-osteoporosis medicine. 1/3 is OBGYN. 1/3 is the rheumatologist. 1/3 1/3 is the treatment. So OBGYN still 1/3. Maybe we should take the lead because for women, they come and see the OBGYN, they see the contraception, they deliver, and we should treat. So this works very well with the DESA concept variation, right? So does that answer the question? Yes. Yes. I think we can take the lead for women's health also. Because for fracture occur about 65, so you must treat 10 years before. So it's about 50, which is just nice. The menopause time, when we talk about hormone replacement therapy, we also talk about osteoporosis. So you treat that, then you won't get the fracture. The other question is what I forgot. Cancer screening. Now, cancer screening is also very important because the breast surgeon is interested only in breast cancer, right? But for screening, nobody is really interested except for the general practitioner. General practitioner has so many things. So women's cancer, like breast cancer, cervical cancer, ovarian cancer, and it should be OBGYN. So OBGYN see the woman after delivery, and then for contraception. So if we and our colleagues in the DESA and the BIDAN do the screening, because now cervical cancer screening is very easy. You don't need a doctor. You just need a swab. The woman put it in the vagina, put it in a container, and send it to the lab. And they can do HPV DNA testing. This is outpatient. And in advanced countries, what they do is every woman, every year or every 5 years, they get a swab stick. They just put it in the vagina, and they put it in a container, and then they send it to the lab by post. For free from the government. So this is a very cost-effective way to prevent cervical cancer, which I understand is very important in Indonesia. So the women, we can teach them maybe in the DESA project to just do self-screening with the HPV. So this is a very robust, systematic way of screening that is very, very accurate, high sensitivity and specificity. Okay. Yes. HPV. Do you like tell us about your experience in the screening? Because when you screen for HPV, I think also you can screen for diabetes. Because when you screen, you must just screen for what's the point of just screening? So you must screen for blood sugar, because diabetes is important. And once you screen for diabetes and HPV, you take care of the big problems in health, because diabetes leads to cardiovascular disease.
In Indonesia, to screen HPV is still expensive because it's still in the big laboratory. But we usually do the screening with the pap smear and acetic acid visual examination. And then we still do the see and treat procedure with colposcopy and cryo or culture. Yeah. But HPV examination is still not routinely in Indonesia.
I think this is the opportunity because DNA testing, the cost is going down every day. It's just like handphone. Right? That handphone 10 years ago is so expensive, Apple I cannot buy, but now everybody can have handphone. Same like genetic DNA, HPV, because the cost of screening is going down every year. So I think a time will come when the cost is so low that everybody can have HPV genetic screening, just like everybody has a handphone now. This is the future.
Yeah. Oh. relevant.
I'm Rivera from Bethesda Hospital. I would like to ask three questions. The first is, I'm interested with your test of walking. How wide is it the line? Is it 30 centimeters or so on? But concluded that if someone is not walking in the line, is it the imbalance of the right and left or not? That is the first question. The second is for preventive treatment of osteoporosis, how much calcium do you advise? Is it the preventive one, like 500 elemental calcium, or lesser than that? And the third question is for the uh, syndrome of due to low estrogen in menopausal women in the rural area. What do you suggest treatment for them, which is accessible by the cost and so? Do we use directly so estrogens, so chemical hormones, or can we use phytoestrogens, something like that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So it's very interesting. The test that we do actually is a validated test. Because this type of test is standardized and it's called SPPB, Standardized Physical Performance Award, SPPB. And it's a whole series of tests, including the grip strength, including the chair stand test, and the balance walk. The walk is around this big. Right, and the 6 meters. So you walk as fast as possible along the 6 meters. Step, then straight. Right? Then you try that one time, and as fast as possible. So these are standardized battery of tests that we can compare with different populations. Population in Japan, population in US, population in Indonesia, population in Singapore. Standardized battery of tests. So that's the usefulness of using standardized tests, and we can see, number one, if you treat, is there improvement? Number two, we can compare with other populations all around the world versus on standardized. Any other questions? Cancer. Now, to prevent osteoporosis, there are supplements, and calcium and vitamin D is very important. But the important thing is you must identify those with low calcium and low vitamin D, and you treat those with low first. That's number one. Because in Singapore, when I did the study, vitamin D is very low in our Singapore women. Then I was wondering why, because vitamin D is sunshine. If you have a lot of sunshine, your vitamin D is high. Then I asked my professor in US. Then he said, look, your women never go to the sun.
Yeah.
Go shopping.
Yeah.
And the women in the lady go to them. Sunblock and they come up. So no sunshine reach their skin. So
but they also use a hijab. Maybe this also because the sunshine exposure is so low. Hijab. You know this? They use kind of cover all skins. Yeah.
And for Chinese, they avoid the sun, they carry the umbrella. They like the white skin. So, of course, vitamin D is low. So, what I do, I check the vitamin D level, and if it's low, I have to supplement till it's enough. Calcium, the same thing. Some people don't think calcium is supplement until they have. But for those who already have normal, additional calcium do not prevent osteoporosis. It doesn't help to say the vitamin D is already normal, calcium level already normal. You give additional calcium, I don't think it prevents osteoporosis. The studies have shown. So for hormone replacement therapy in the desert, this is something I hope to work with the GME team to find out what is the best solution. And I think it would be very, very important for everyone.
You understand the last answer is this we did kind of research. we still propose the reasons and how to treat low estrogen symptoms in rural because we don't have any evidence yet. Okay, Doctor. Silakan sopo lagi. Hah? Roy.
Thank you, Prof. I want to ask about hormonal replacement therapy in menopause women. Uh, when did we treat menopause women with hormonal replacement therapy to prevent osteoporosis or other postmenopausal symptoms? And what kind of hormonal replacement therapy that should we use to reduce the uh, side effect of the hormone replacement therapy? And the third is, if we use hormone replacement therapy, how long the duration can we use the hormone replacement therapy? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Roy, for your question. It's a very important question for all women. The first question is
when should we start the hormonal
when should we start? Now, for when should we start? It depends on your time of the menopause. If you have premature menopause, for instance, because some people have Turner syndrome. Some people, the menstrual stop when they're 35 or 40. Definitely 100% you should start hormone replacement therapy for people whose menopause is before age 50. Because then if say their menstrual stop or they have Turner syndrome or somehow they're early menopause, their menstrual stop at 40, then their bone will start to increase. So from 40 to 50, 100% will start. And that I think everybody is in the world of OBGYN. That if you have early menopause before age 50, you should start hormone replacement. Now, after 50, you all and we also have read about the famous American study, the World Health Initiative study, the WHO. We show that hormone replacement therapy is bad. But actually, they have done the study wrongly because they chose the wrong age group, 65 and over. And why they chose the wrong age group? Because hormone replacement therapy before that was so good, and so good for the bone, so good for the symptom, and even good for heart health, that the WHO study was designed to test the hypothesis that it's going to prevent heart disease, not to prevent strokes and everything. To prevent heart disease, and heart disease starts at 65 and over, so they started hormone replacement therapy for that age group. But it turns out that's the wrong age group, because the good age group to start hormone replacement is 50 to 60. So the consensus is that there is a window of opportunity between the age of 50 to 60, where hormone replacement therapy risk-benefit ratio is good for the right woman with the low risk factors. And if you can explain to the woman that, the risk of venous thromboembolism is low, you do not have family history of breast cancer, and you have no hypertension and no disease, then hormone replacement therapy from 50 to 60 is good. After discussion with women, I tell them that's good, and now some of them become more and more agreeable. Because number one, it will stop the hot flashes. Number two, it will make your skin smooth and the vaginal dryness is improved. Number three, protects against osteoporosis for 10 years. And it's a simple drug for osteoporosis. Because if you eat, and then also expensive and full of side effects. So in terms of hormone, estrogen replacement therapy is one of the best. Now the bad thing about hormone replacement therapy is, of course, venous thromboembolism, stroke, and cardiovascular disease. And that is linked to the progesterone of women. Because hormone replacement therapy in those with uterus must have estrogen and progesterone. Now estrogen alone is actually quite good. But it's the progesterone that causes thromboembolism and heart disease. So the best combination, I feel, let's say the woman already has the uterus strengthening down. Then you just give estrogen alone. And estrogen alone, the risk of breast cancer is neutral or even reduced the risk of breast cancer. And for cardiovascular disease, it's again neutral. The only thing it costs is units from noise. And that you can avoid by using lower the risk. Estrogen can be delivered to the skin, to the patch, or to the skin. So it bypasses the hepatic circulation and doesn't increase the complications. So for a woman who has interest in just say gel, rub it as if you are putting lotion. Every day you rub, and that's the best. And the risk is very low, and a lot of them are using it. Now for the woman who has an interest, I put we have Mirena medicated. Yeah, so I just put Mirena because they need contraception till 50. After 50, they want to remove. I said, don't remove, just put a new one in. And then I will continue. I will use the gel, and I no need to have progesterone because the Mirena protects. So Mirena at 50, and they can keep it on until about 55, 70, 60, use the gel. So a lot of people are using Mirena plus the gel. So that's the lowest risk and biggest benefit. Do you have any other experience?
Usually,
in Indonesian women, is it acceptable?
yes, in Indonesia, I think they usually use oral estrogen with combination with progesterone. We using progesterone. And how long the duration we can use hormonal replacement therapy?
So the current recommendation is 50 to 60 years. Right? But a lot of women, after 60, they say, look, you stop, I feel so horrible, my flushes come back, my skin so dry, I feel depressed, I want to continue. So I have some people 70 also continue. So it is individualized, and we have to discuss with the lady what is a wish and what is risk benefit creating recommendations.
Yeah. I think the use of HRT in Indonesia is not so common. Mostly the OBGYN use kind of oral contraceptions for to treat the symptom of menopause. So the idea, I think, is because we have to individualize the doses, right? But if we use oral contraception, it's not individualized anymore. Yeah, this kind of misuse of oral contraception. This is from Aceh question. So, yeah, that's first question.
Aceh,
Want to ask?
good morning to friends from Aceh and all Indonesia. If the woman diagnosed with, the question is, if the woman is diagnosed with osteoporosis at the menopausal age, does hormone replacement therapy still have benefit if we give? And how long we treat osteoporosis to make the woman hormone okay? So, if you have osteoporosis, definitely hormone replacement therapy will benefit because it is one of the most powerful and one of the best drugs for menopausal osteoporosis for women. So the answer is yes. If she has osteoporosis and menopause, and if the risk benefit ratio is good and she accepts it, hormone replacement therapy will be the best. And how long do we treat? As I said, it's about 50 to 60 years. That's the consensus for the Menopausal Society. The North American Menopausal Society also thinks that there's a window of opportunity. In their consensus statement, it's 50 to 60 years. So, but again, it's individualized. If the woman feels that she can accept the risk, then she can continue.
From webinar? Okay.
Good morning, Prof. I have a question regarding DEXA scan. In Singapore, do you have guidelines? What candidate we should offer the DEXA scan? I mean, do you have a cut-off age for offering the DEXA scan? And then the second question is, instead of using hormonal replacement therapy, do you also prescribe alendronate to treat the osteoporosis? And for how long usually you prescribe the alendronate to treat the osteoporosis?
Thank you very much for your question. With regard to the age of screening for osteoporosis, a lot of the international societies, like the American Society, like say to treat to scan DEXA after the age of 65. Because as I've seen, I showed you in the chart for the risk of fracture increases after 70. So you screen 5 years before it's quite good because that's the highest risk. There's no point in screening at 40 because the risk of fracture is so low. And anyway, it's informing. So my practice is screen for women over 65. And they need to do once, and then after maybe 3 or 4 years once. Unless they have risk factors. Some people have risk factors like secondary cause of osteoporosis. All of this is early menopause. Or if you are taking steroids. Or if they have thyroid disease, or some other endocrine diseases, then you need to screen. So once you do the DEXA and they are osteoporosis, then you need to treat. Hormone replacement therapy is a very good method before 60. And after 60, we can try the bisphosphonates. So then we have the bisphosphonates are the first choice or second choice. But bisphosphonate, to be careful, it should be used to treat osteoporosis with the DEXA T-score less than minus 2.5. See, in Singapore, we have women who are, especially relatives of doctors, they say, okay, my T-score is minus 2.0. I'm not osteoporosis or osteopenia. But I'm going there, so I myself treat. So they get treated. And some people, I have minus 1.0. It's not even osteopenia, but I'm going there, so I myself take. So they just take. And they take early from the age of 45. And they take without stopping, and what do they have? They get atypical femoral fractures. Because this was a dangerous disease, it is anti-resorptive. So it prevents bone remodeling. So the bone mineral density is very good. It becomes better and better, but it's calcium. And the bone is brittle. It is like glass, So although it's full of calcium, it's brittle. So once you fall, crack, crack. So I have a woman who's a relative of doctor. So she takes her bisphosphonates from the age of 40, taking like sweets, like chewing gum, just taking it. And then when she saw me at 60, she said, no, I was walking to the bathroom, and then I turned around, I heard crack, crack, and I fell down. And both the femur, each shaft, is not the whole head of the femur, it's not too close. Each shaft is a typical one for a typical femoral fracture. So this is a big problem if you take too much of the drug in the wrong indication. Because bisphosphonates is to treat osteoporosis, it's not to treat osteopenia. There's no evidence that it will improve osteopenia. So that's why we have to be careful, and the other drugs are raloxifene and all that. But, I still think overall, hormone replacement is one of the best drugs for osteoporosis.
Any other question? Okay, Prof. Offer.
Replacement therapy, because in the previous, I think in the systematic review from WHI, it is said that should be less than 10 years. I don't know the latest evidence.
There is a pushback because after WHI, just previously is estrogen is good, it's called Feminine Forever, right? When I was a resident, the book that came out is Feminine Forever. I just want to be young and beautiful forever. Estrogen. So then everybody is taking estrogen, but this WHI, suddenly the pendulum swung the wrong way because from this one becomes zero. So no woman wants to take hormone replacement therapy because it's like poison, which I think is wrong. So I think the consensus now, the North American Menopause Society consensus statement, also the British NICE guideline, say that maybe hormone replacement therapy is good for 10 years, 50 to 60. In those with a suitable risk benefit profile. So we have to individualize and we have to discuss with the lady on which she's prepared to take, whether she has breast cancer, whether she's obese, whether she has previous strokes. And with all this into account, hormone replacement therapy can be given for 10 years. That's the consensus.
Okay, one more question. This cancer survivor, for example, the Dr. Dan patient, because their menopause caused by the surgery or hysterectomy, what should we do with this? Do you have any experience with patient like this?
This is very difficult for breast cancer.
For breast cancer, maybe ovarian cancer, and we have to take all of the both ovary. Yeah, and then the patient suddenly come to the menopause phase.
But for ovarian cancer, it's no problem. So ovarian cancer, you should start hormone replacement therapy. Let's say if they have ovarian problem at 40 years old and you do bilateral sonography, definitely 100% you start hormone replacement therapy. Right?
Professor and Dr. Abu, we don't usually find any complaint from our patient who gets menopause because of our treatment, with the surgery or chemotherapy. Maybe because of they just they feel grateful they have passed the treatment, and they do not care about the menopause complaint. Yeah, I think we not usually found the complaint about the menopause in our patient.
Okay.
I think it's so good to be a Singapore Indonesian guy because the operation good for. In Singapore, they complain every day to me. No, I bought glasses, my dry, don't do something, please. Because especially for breast cancer, it's very difficult. Because breast cancer, then you cannot start estrogen. Even the vaginal tablet, you cannot start vaginal estrogen. Yeah. I think Singapore women are not as strong as Indonesia. Slightest thing they will complain, so many problems.
So this is a standard operational procedure in your hospital for a patient like Dr. Dan patient. I mean, this bilateral ovarectomy, and then they get it started as soon as the finish of the surgery.
Yes, definitely. Because if they have both ovaries removed, then the estrogen is low.
Yeah.
If they are before 50, definitely they should get. It's
For
called premature menopause
yeah.
because of surgery, and that's a very good indication for hormone replacement therapy.
For how long?
Until at least they are 50, and then 50 to 60, they can continue the same way.
Okay.
But for breast cancer, because breast is estrogen sensitive, then it's a big
Okay. Any other question? Okay. One more.
Professor, I would like to ask, as soon as we start the hormone replacement therapy, what things should we evaluate during the therapy?
It's a very big question. Of course, when we start hormone replacement therapy, we should check the women regularly. First of all, they should relieve the symptoms, check out the symptoms, hot flushes, vaginal dryness, leadership improvement. Then, of course, I check the blood pressure and I check their weight, the blood pressure and weight, and then I also do the cholesterol and everything, and the lipid panel. And if everything is okay, then we can and ask them whether they have symptoms. Some of them after hormone they get headache and all that, and then you have to be careful. And make sure they go for their cancer screening, the breast cancer and the uterine cancer screening. So this is a chance for us to have health prevention for our women. And that's why I think it's very important for each one to take the lead for health prevention.
Okay. I think there's no other question. Okay, one more.
Professor, I have patients that are breast cancer patients that estrogen and progesterone receptors positive, but they're experiencing of hypoestrogen syndrome. What should I do?
So this is a big problem. I really don't have a solution. Breast cancer, very difficult. Maybe we can have a project or research study to see that. I don't know whether some plant estrogen like soy, but I myself is doing research on plant-based phytoestrogens because these are not contraindicated in breast cancer like soy phytoestrogens. So that you can consider those remifemin and but there's very little evidence, so I cannot recommend because the evidence-based medicine. There's no evidence we cannot recommend.
Okay then. So I think. Okay, one more, and one more, one more. Okay.
So, give like some recommendation what kind of exercise, how is the frequent, how is the duration, and all. So we can give the good knowledge to the patient that menopause to do the right exercise. But sometimes not appropriate exercise will cause the other problem, like the trauma and all. So maybe we can give some advice. Thank you.
Thanks very much for your question. Exercise is so important. Now there's thinking that you don't need medicine. Actually, exercise is the medicine. And all over the world, exercise is going down, especially in big cities. Maybe not so much in Georgia, but in Singapore, all the women, they don't want to exercise. They just drive the car, they take the MRT, walking. But now there's a trend in my hospital, right? They encourage people to walk rather than take the lift. Right? So even in the shopping center, if you can walk up the stairs instead of taking the escalator and walk around, it's good. Every little bit helps exercise. Yeah. But I think it's very difficult. So, although I started this project, I cannot have a good answer and show you the evidence that this type of recommendation will improve for this type of women. I don't have that. So maybe we can do the project together. We can have a nice solution. What is the evidence, right? But I have a project that I started for women with gestational diabetes. Women with gestational diabetes when they are pregnant, they are high risk of diabetes, and that's because they are fat. Right? So after they deliver, I have a program I call the Sparrow randomized control trial, right? A study to restore optimal weight in Sparrow. So this one is an app because everybody in Singapore has a phone, just like in Georgia, the phone. So after delivery, the app, I ask them to download the app, and through the app, I keep on reminding them, please exercise. And they have the Fitbit, and they have every time they eat, they must put the diet, right? Whether they are having the nasi padang or whatever, they must put. And if their calorie is too much, then the app will tell them, please don't eat nasi padang, eat the BCR without the lemak, without the oil. The app will tell them, interactive. So the app, I hope this is one way that will work, and it works. Maybe next year an account can tell you this is the way to go. Use the N-Body app, which is available. You can download it and N-Body is an app from my hospital. Exercise and diet. Because I asked the women, can you come for classes? Can you go for come to my campus? When do I have time? I have to take care of my children, I have to take care of my parents, I have to cook, I have to clean the house. then I got time to attend the course to learn exercise and physio. So the app made it look. Then I do the video, you see. I do the video of exercises that are good for women, right? You can cooking, you can take care of baby, or you can do it with friend and run. Yeah, so these are the things that I think may be helpful to our women in the modern age.
Okay, thanks. I think it's enough. Please give applause to Prof. Yong. Thank you very much, Prof. Yong. And I think we can off photo session here. Okay. Photo session. Outside. Okay, outside. Photo session outside with our dean and our head. We love photo.